All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we've got something pretty exclusive for you. We're going to walk through the official guide to a philosophy that is, let's say, quietly reshaping our world. It's called the UBHH syndrome. That stands for Untouched by Human Hand. Let's dive in.
So let's just start with a really provocative question. Forever, we valued craftsmanship, the personal touch, right? But what if that whole idea has been a massive miscalculation? What if the human touch isn't a feature at all, but actually a flaw, a bug in the system? And this is the world that the UBHH philosophy imagines, a place of absolute, sterile perfection. A world where the mess, the unpredictability of being human has just been elegantly engineered right out of the picture.
And there you have it, the core belief laid out in no uncertain terms. From this point of view, it's not about being mean, it's just about efficiency. The human element, with all its beautiful, chaotic unpredictability, is seen as the #1 contaminant to a perfect, profitable system.
Okay, Section 1, the diagnosis. Before you can appreciate the solution, you've got to agree on the problem. And in this framework, the problem, the fundamental liability, is us, the human.
What's just fascinating here is how they reframe basic human biology as a business problem. First, you've got the ick factor. You, me, we're shedding 30,000 skin cells a minute. Then there's inconsistency. Moods, opinions, pesky ethics, they mess with the system's integrity. And finally, vulnerability. Things like needing to sleep, needing air, having empathy, these are all framed as expensive, inefficient drags on the system.
So if the human is the problem, what's the solution? Well, that brings us to Section 2, the vision. The UBHH philosophy, which presents itself as the elegant answer for a cleaner and, of course, more profitable world.
Any good philosophy needs a backstory, right? And this one claims some deep historical roots, tracing itself all the way back to the Victorian era and the term the Great Unwashed. The argument they make is simple. We've spent 200 years trying to clean up the human element, and it just hasn't worked. So the pivot is, well, kind of logical, isn't it? Don't fix it, delete it.
And this is just brilliant. It shows the clear path to purity. It's a tiered system. Tier 1, with actually human supervision, obsolete. Forget it. Tier 2, where humans are just kind of watching from a distance, that's discouraged. No, the real goal, the gold standard, is Tier 3, absolutely zero biological contact from the very beginning of a product's life until it's in the consumer's hands.
Okay, Section 3 is about execution. So if that's the what, this is the how. How do you actually achieve this gold standard in the real world? It's done through a process they call the Purity Streamline.
Look at this process. It's laid out like some kind of sacred ritual. You start with materials from an untouched earth. Then it's on to mechanical purification. Next up is this wild stage called algorithmic sanctity, where the product only exists as pure data. Then it's physically created through vacuum-borne encapsulation, before it arrives at its final destination, the flawless feast. The only human involved in this entire chain? You, the end consumer.
And of course, it all comes down to money, right? There's a powerful business case here, built on what they call the revenue of the void. It's about making money from absence. First, premium pricing. People will pay more for something that's guaranteed sterile, something that's never been breathed on. That leads to the luxury of exclusion. Value isn't what's been added, but who's been kept away. And that last point on risk mitigation, it's just brutally efficient. You cannot sue a shadow, you cannot unionize a vacuum.
Moving on to Section 4, the lexicon. This is crucial. To really get on board with this philosophy, you have to adopt the language, and this new vocabulary is designed specifically to replace messy human ideas with clean, corporate-approved terms. You gotta master it.
Just take a look at some of these. Biological friction. That's not inefficiency, that's just you needing a bathroom break or having feelings. And Truty, that's spelled T-R-U-T-Y. That's the messy, real version of truth that needs to be scrubbed clean. But there are two terms here that are really the cornerstones of this whole dictionary.
This one is so important. It's all about recategorization. You're not a person anymore, you're not an employee, you're a sentient contaminant. If you accidentally touch a clean zone or, heaven forbid, inject some personality into the system, it's treated like a full-on biohazard event.
And this one? This goes right for the throat of everything we traditionally think adds value, the oily hand fallacy. It just completely dismisses the idea of craftsmanship. A handmade item isn't special, it's just contaminated.
It's a product that hasn't been sterilized of its maker's messy identity yet.
So, Section 5, the final frontier. But it doesn't just stop with physical products. Oh no. The final, most ambitious goal here is the sterilization of thought itself, which brings us to the concept of the untouched mind. So here's how it works in practice. The system is designed to protect you, the consumer, from what it calls abrasive thought. An algorithm spots sharp, challenging content, like, say, a clever critique of social issues, and it just swaps it out with something completely harmless and sanitized. Cognitive dissonance becomes a bug that needs to be patched. And it gets even more subtle, even more granular, with something called the Truty protocol. Get this, it sees typos not as simple mistakes, but as emotional biomarkers. Tiny little traces of human struggle or hesitation. So by seamlessly correcting them, the system erases the evidence that a person was ever there, making sure all communication is sterile, frictionless, and totally untouched by feeling.
And that brings us to the chilling but perfectly logical conclusion of this entire philosophy. Empathy isn't a strength, it's a design flaw. If you have an emotional response to something, that's a system failure. It's a product recall event. The goal is a consumer who can process information without the inefficiency of actually feeling any.
And so, the ultimate vision is captured perfectly in this final tagline. It's not just about untouched hands, it's about an untouched mind and an untouched heart. It's a world where purity is only achieved through the complete and total absence of our own humanity. A world where a dry eye is a pure eye,